How many of you were here last year when I met with this group? Okay, so this is a 2-year program where some people roll in every year, and then it's okay.
That's right. Some people are around a little longer because we have JDs as well. So
Right.
we have some people that are around 3 years and 4 years with JD MBAs.
Terrific. And it's NYU and Columbia, right?
That's right.
So how many of you are from NYU? Ooh, a lot of NYU. And how many of you from Columbia? That's good. I like this group. I've always been. I always like the NYU Columbia thing. I think I've said this in prior years as well, but I just think it's great to see two of the leading business schools in the city do something together, and law schools too, I guess. So are the law school students from both NYU and Columbia?
That's right.
That's great. I think it's fantastic. So anyway, I thought I would talk for maybe a few minutes just about some things that I see going on in venture capital business and the technology sectors that we invest in, and then I'm going to open up for questions. I'm not going to talk for very long. On the way down here, I took the subway down, and I realized that I have been going nonstop since 5 this morning. So I've been literally going nonstop for almost 14 hours. So I am a little spent, and if I seem that way, I apologize. But I think once we get into a conversation, I think I can certainly go for as long as you want to. And the tradition, if you do this with every speaker, I think it's fantastic. But the tradition that we've established in the prior 2 years is that we go out and have a beer together afterwards, and I really like that too. So hopefully as many of you can do that as possible, and that's fun too because it's a little bit more relaxed and casual, and I always find that helpful. So I think the venture capital business is on an upswing. I really believe that, and I see it in sort of the front lines of the business. I think there are more new firms in the venture business that are active and doing really interesting things, than there's been in a long time. I think there's a small fund movement that is really taking hold, and that's where a lot of the new firms are. And I think that's very, very good for the venture business because I think that small funds are the key to successful early stage investing. And I think one of the things that got wrong with the venture business over the past 15 years is that a lot of the most successful firms grew because they were successful and raised more money because they could, and increased their partnerships because they could, and frankly drifted out of the early stage venture business, or certainly drifted out of a structure that allowed them to effectively be early stage investors. And I think that's changing, and I think it's very healthy for the business. The other thing that's happening is that we're seeing some new ways of exiting investments. And one that I'm particularly enthusiastic about is a secondary market is developing. If you know anything about the private equity business and the buyout business, there's always been a tradition, at least for many years now, of firms selling their positions to each other, usually control positions. So a buyout firm would buy a company, take it private or whatever, and after holding it for 5, 6, 7 years, they'd auction off the company, and another buyout firm would come in, or another private equity firm would buy the company lock, stock, and barrel. And so you didn't in the buyout and private equity business, you don't always have to take a company public or sell it to a strategic buyer to get an exit. You could sell it to a financial buyer, and that really hasn't been the case in the venture capital business. And for many years, venture capital business was driven by IPOs. Over the past decade, the returns, such as they are, have been driven largely by M&A transactions. And what we're starting to see now is there's a tier of capital that's starting to come in and buy stakes in late-stage private venture companies. And I think that's very promising for a bunch of reasons. One of which is that it provides another form of liquidity to early-stage investors such as ourselves, and that makes the business healthier. It also provides a potential for liquidity to founders who may have moved on to new projects and want to get liquid on some or all of their position. And it also is a liquidity path for founders who are still sticking around running their companies, and so I think that is just starting to develop, and that tier of capital is largely made up of public market investors who are coming down market and want to buy some of the leading private names, late stage venture firms who want to find other ways to buy into privately held companies other than the sort of auction type environment that exists for that last round. Now they can come in and get in more kind of brokered transactions. And then also there's some new entrants, foreign money, DST, which is a group that bought large positions in Facebook, and Zynga is from Russia. There's a number of entities from the Middle East and Asia as well that are doing this, and so I think it will be interesting to see how well those secondary positions that people are buying are going to perform for them. But if they perform well, I think we'll see more of this happen, and I think it'll be very healthy. So that's another reason I think the venture business is starting to get better, and I also think that we have to work off of a really bad overhang or hangover or whatever you want to call it that really lasted for much of the last decade, and I think that's largely behind us now. The returns from the late 90s are out of the 10-year returns. And now soon we're going to have that really rough period in 2000, 2001, 2002 will soon be out of the 10-year returns, and we're going to start to, I think, see a more normal pattern emerge in the 10-year returns. And I think people will start to see that the best performing venture funds are putting up 30, 40, 50% annual rates of return, and even the median, I think, will be back into the double digits. And so I think that's all very healthy.